Irigaray's work, Thinking the Difference, articulates a philosophical and ethical vision centered on the recognition of sexual difference as fundamental to human existence and cultural transformation. This work expands on her earlier critiques of Western thought, addressing ways in which phallocentric systems have denied the autonomy and specificity of women's subjectivity. At its core, the text is a call for a peaceful revolution that restructures cultural, symbolic, and ethical paradigms to include and honor sexual difference as a foundational aspect of human relationships and societal organization. Irigaray begins the book by critiquing the dominant frameworks of Western philosophy and culture, which have historically privileged unity, sameness, and transcendence, qualities associated with masculinity, over plurality, difference, and immanence, which are often relegated to the feminine. This imbalance has created a cultural and symbolic order that fails to recognize the existence of two sexes as distinct yet equally valuable. Her project is not merely making this imbalance, but about proposing an alternative mode of thinking and being that respects and nurtures the differences between men and women without reducing one to the terms of the other. Irigaray asserts that sexual difference is not merely a biological or sociological fact, but a profound ontological reality that shapes human subjectivity, relationships, and cultural practices. She critiques the phallocentric logic that has universalized the masculine as the default mode of being and thinking, relegating the feminine to the margins or defining it solely in opposition to the masculine. For Irigaray, this binary opposition is insufficient for capturing the complexity and richness of sexual difference, which she sees as a dynamic and relational process rather than a fixed or static category. In proposing a peaceful revolution, Irigaray emphasizes the need to rethink cultural and symbolic systems to create a space where both sexes can develop their own identities and genealogies. She argues that women in particular have been denied the opportunity to articulate their own subjectivity and to construct their own symbolic and cultural legacies. This lack of a feminine genealogy, she contends, has profound implications for how women understand themselves and their relationships with others. Without a symbolic order that recognizes and values the feminine, women are often define themselves in terms of the masculine, perpetuating a cycle of dependence and invisibility. Her vision for a peaceful revolution involves a radical reimagining of language, ethics, and culture. She critiques the ways in which language, as it is traditionally structured, perpetuates the erasure of feminine subjectivity by privileging linearity, hierarchy, and abstraction, qualities associated with masculine modes of thought. For Irigaray, language must be transformed to accommodate the fluidity, plurality, and relationality of feminine experience. This involves not only revisiting existing linguistic and symbolic systems, but also creating new forms of expression that can articulate the specificity of women's experiences and perspectives. The ethical dimension of Irigaray's project is particularly significant. She argues that true ethics requires an acknowledgement and respect for the other as other rather than reducing the other to a mirror of oneself. In the context of sexual difference, this means recognizing and valuing the differences between men and women without subsuming one into the terms of the other. Irigaray critiqued ethical systems for their failure to account for sexual difference, calling for a new ethical framework that is grounded in the relational dynamics of self and other. This relational ethics, she contends, is essential for creating a more just and equitable society. Her emphasis on relationality extends to her vision of human relationships and social organization. She critiques the individualistic and hierarchical structures of Western culture, proposing instead a model of community and society that is based on mutual recognition and respect for difference. In this model, men and women are seen as equal partners in the creation of culture, each contributing their unique perspectives and experiences to the collective whole. This vision challenges the traditional power dynamics that have subordinated women to men, advocating instead for a more egalitarian and inclusive approach to social and cultural life. Drawing on philosophy, psychoanalysis, literature, and mythology, Irigaray creates a rich and multifaceted work that resists the linearity and rigidity of the traditional philosophical discourse. Irigaray offers practical suggestions for how individuals and societies can begin to think and live differently. She emphasizes the importance of education, particularly for women, as a means of developing the skills and knowledge necessary to articulate their own subjectivity and to participate fully in cultural and symbolic life. She also highlights the role of interpersonal relations in fostering mutual recognition and respect for difference, suggesting that the way we relate to one another in everyday life can serve as a model for broader social and cultural change.